Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sonic and the Side Quests, the two-day event focused on the Sonic the Hedgehog series and the speedrun categories that involve doing more than just beating the game. We're collecting Chaos Emeralds, emblems, magic doohickeys, time stones, and super emeralds, all that sort of stuff, and overall creating a good future for everyone with the Sonic speedrun community at the helm of all the action. I'm joined by four really awesome runners of Sonic 3 Angel Island Revisited, using a mod of a mod, essentially, in the form of Amy Rose, who is a modified character with her own unique moveset. But I will go ahead. We have one of the runners here who will be able to introduce everyone, but I want to thank the four of you first and foremost for being here. But go ahead. We have HUD601 who's going to introduce everyone and just share some stuff for the on the behalf of the runners.
Amber, thank you so much. And yes, welcome everyone to the Sonic 3 Air race here at Sonic and the Side Quests. So first off, please do allow me to introduce you to our runners today. So first off, representing Canada, he's the current world record holder of Amy All Emeralds and the New Game Plus category. He's only been a Sonic speedrunner for 4 months, and he is definitely the man most likely to crash the game for going too fast. Please everyone welcome Teravin. Second, representing Argentina, he's the man you saw yesterday blast through Sonic Heroes and even have enough time for a bonus boss percent run. He's the founder of Sonic 3S speedrunning and the chap most likely to make you jealous of his incredible hair. He's bringing his super secret, hyper ultra, new mega ultimate secret strats. It's Nacho. And then on to the first of our UK runners. You'll be hearing him throughout the run as the creator of the Colin Enhancement mod, a man once described by Baron Von Opulence III as a lowly peasant, and the current world record holder for most resets in Angel Island 1. Welcome, RPG. And then finally, also representing the UK, he is the creator of the Sando 8. He hates blue spheres with a passion. He has killed more practice runs than he's completed due to the frame-perfect load glitch. And he's still referring to himself in the third person. Give it up for me, HUD601. So yeah, welcome everyone. This is Sonic 3 Angel Island Revisited, but what is it? Well, it's a fan-made remaster created by Eukaryote. It's available on Windows, macOS, Nintendo Switch, and there's also now beta versions for Android, iOS, and even the web browsers. We're actually running the official Sonic 3 and Knuckles game ROM in this, and it's a custom game engine that's allowed for many changes and quality of life updates to be added to this game. So the things that they've included are things like widescreen support, modding support, many bug fixes, including kind of patching the level wraps and the camera wraps, which you saw yesterday in TSD's run. In-game menuing, cutscene fast-forwarding, for Sonic brand new abilities like the Super Peer, like the Drop Dash, Tails Flight Assist, and loads more. Without a doubt, it's the most definitive way to play this classic, and with the introduction of the category extensions board that we now have, which I oversee with my fellow Sonic 3 Ad moderators, Elite, Spen in Sweden, and Nacho, we now have the joy of running this classic with other characters like Amy, Mighty, and even Metal Sonic. But enough from me and enough about the game. I'm now going to hand over to our brilliant commentators, our resident Nux Gang representatives. Please give a warm welcome to Alice and Hypnotics.
Hello, hello.
Hello, everyone. It's good to be here. My name is Alice, and as Hud's mentioned, we are both very big Knuckles fans. Isn't that right, Hib?
Oh yeah, and I'm pretty much the closest thing that one can get to being involved with this game without actually running it. So I verified for the game for a while, and I mean, hey, we're jumping straight into it.
Absolutely. So Amy immediately is kind of like very, very powerful as a character. You're going to see the abilities like the hammer, like hover that she's doing, where she's kind of swinging the hammer and moving straight across, and that's going to give her a lot of horizontal mobility. But you're also going to see the hammer jump later as well, where she jumps straight up in the air, and that's going to give a ton of vertical mobility as well. She's got a lot of options, and both all the players now into the first special stage, and we're going to see a lot of strat variations. Sorry, tripping up with my words there.
It's all right, you got that. So you heard it from HUDs earlier. How were they described again? Nacho's strats. I think he's taking a little bit of inspiration from the Sound Defense you saw yesterday, taking on Tails, All Emeralds, and S3K. And I believe maybe a bit of sort of moonwalking here and there he'll go for. We'll keep an eye out when he's in the special stages.
Yeah, definitely using what commonly referred to as the TAS strats. So strats that you would have seen someone like TSD, for example, use yesterday in his Tails run. It's surprising how terrifying those strats are, how small the amount of time save that is there actually is. So it is absolute like bravery to see Nacho going for this in a race because they are very difficult to do.
So as things stand, it looks like Huds is just ahead. Tervin not too far behind with RPG, bringing up the rear with Nacho just a little bit behind. Maybe the audaciousness to go for those task strats. Maybe it won't pay off, but it's a little bit too early to tell.
Yeah, Huds and Tervin now in sync, entering into the second special stage. Really good to see that.
Easy enough to see.
RPG is catching up in there now, whereas Nacho still lagging behind a little bit. Just about to enter the stage himself. Shouldn't be too far behind. This stage, I think... So in terms of like the strats going forward, we've obviously talked about Nacho going for the task strats. I believe that Tervin and RPG tend to go for kind of a hybrid between safe and task. They have like optimized strats, but they're not doing the really crazy moonwalks or anything like that. Huds, meanwhile, who's just done some jumps over those red orbs there. Apparently, according to him, that is about as dangerous as he's willing to get with these. He really doesn't like the blue sphere stages, in his own words, and he would much rather keep them safe and simple.
Even self-described as baby strats, but it might help him in the end. Because the last thing that either of these runners wants to do is to have to find another big ring and to go into the special stage again. Because yeah, missing one emerald completely, like a whole load of time wasted.
Yeah, definitely. Similar to the original release of the game as well, if you've used a special ring in a stage and you reload the stage, it's going to be gone. The level will track that. You can't cheese out emeralds. You can't just reload the same level over and over to get multiple rings. So every opportunity that you miss with a special stage, you're going to have to find another one elsewhere, and it's going to cost you a lot of time. Having said that, there is going to be a bit of tech at the end of Angel Island 2 that we get to highlight, where that's not necessarily the case, and it'll take a bit of explaining when we get there.
Anybody going to take the water shield? Yeah, it's a water shield. Bubble shield. There we go.
Bubble shield. Wow.
Looks like only Huds is going to be taking it at the moment. There we go. Wow.
I believe they are using the what's referred to as the Colin Enhancement Pack, I believe, which is made by RPG, and it's essentially him making all the voices with his own, like all the sounds with his own voice. So I'm not sure what it sounds like right now, but it normally sounds like a wow noise.
I mean,
Nacho
generally, it all just sounds
here.
like a mess.
Nacho making quite a bit of ground here, actually, not too far behind the others entering into this special stage here. Nacho as well has the opportunity to build up quite a bit of time here because, from what I understand, RPG and Tervin both dislike going for the really crazy strats in this stage. So they're going to be taking a more conventional route like Huz does, whereas Nacho is jumping over these red orbs. He's going to be going backwards and forwards and hopefully getting a bit of time save over the other players.
Be interesting to see if how much of a difference these special stages make, because of course, like usually the more popular categories with all the characters is just the standard beat the game, so you don't want to touch these at all. And in the end, I think Nacho is the player who's more like most adept, as we've described with how he takes these special stages. But all of these runners have also done beat the game, so it'll be interesting to see where it comes down to, whether it's the movement in the stages or whether there'll just be tiny fragments of time that they make up or lose in the special stages.
Definitely. Tervin pulling out of that special stage. Nacho still behind, but not too far behind, managing to just about keep up with the other players at the moment. So you're going to see all the players now going up through Tails' route, because Amy's hammer jump is so good for vertical momentum that she can actually just take the route for the character that's supposed to be able to fly. So that should say a lot about how, like, the potential this character has in a speedrunning context.
Yeah, very broken. Tervin at the moment holding quite a good lead, a couple of seconds over RPG, and I believe Huds might have lost a little bit of time with the maneuvering to the next big ring, and Nacho's gaining a little bit of ground too. It's nice to see that's probably about 10 seconds between them all.
Yeah,
Nice
definitely.
close
They are
race.
keeping this nice and close, but also in terms of current position, keeping it with seed, so to speak. So Terravin, currently the world record holder in first, RPG in second, having PB'd today, I believe, with an hour, 5 minute and 21 second time. I think it was something along those lines.
Something along there.
Hud's not too far behind with a 105 of his own, and Nacho in last with a 107. So all the runners currently following the leaderboard standings. So currently going as expected to some degree, but you never know, it's a race. There's always opportunities for things to happen, and Nacho is handling this section backwards, and it just looks so cool.
Ooh. Easy as you like. Oh, he's doing it with ease. That was very nice to watch.
Very good. And he's nearly caught up on HUDs, actually. Now, it's interesting because these strats that Nacho is doing, I think the amount of time save across a whole run is only in the realm of like 45 seconds. It's not a huge amount of time save, but he is still going for it, and it is paying off. He is getting these strats perfectly, and he is just like inching ever so closer to that third place position that HUDs is currently in. Terravin, meanwhile, in the auto-scroller.
Exactly, everybody's favourite. We only play Sonic games for the auto-scrollers. Sonic Adventure, Sonic 2, it's just
Absolutely.
thrilling gameplay. Speaking of auto-scrollers, you will be seeing a boss in Lava Reef in this because of the character that we use. We have to. It's the resident sleeper, the boss. It is very boring, but we won't give too much away. I think it's a treat that you should all bear witness to.
Yeah, important to mention, this is the glitchless category, but we're going to be seeing Terravin making use of the pause menu. So Terravin, you'll see, has just gone back into the start of Act 2 and picked up the special ring at the start again. Now, we previously mentioned if you load a save file, you can't do that usually because the game intends for you to not be able to just cheese them like that. But what happens if you reset the game, like if you reset the act, sorry, when you're in that transition between finishing the boss and starting Hydro 1, all the level flags for the rings reset. So what they are actually entering now is the special ring at the end of Hydro 2 because it has the same level flag. So if they were to go to the position of the special ring in Hydro 2, it wouldn't be there.
I noticed that you've avoided saying you haven't full named the next zone yet.
I
Because
haven't,
it's very
no.
controversial.
I don't think there's
Shall we
anything
just leave it at
controversial.
Hydro?
I don't think there's anything controversial with saying that it's Hydro City. I'm sorry. I don't think there's anything controversial with that. Anyway,
Well said. Well
all the
said.
players in
Hydrocity.
Special Stage 5 at the same time. Excuse me.
Was that
Actually, wait, no, you're in charge. I
I couldn't
can't.
hear that.
Yeah,
couldn't hear that. Was that just
I feel like someone in
it was.
charge may have disagreed, and I feel like I need to be a bit kinder about Hydrocity fans now. It's not too bad, you know. It could be worse. Could be worse. You could call it like Hydros City or something. That would be very weird.
Yeah, but we're coming for you, Hydros City fans out there.
So Nacho now entering that special stage. Meanwhile, everyone else appears to be... Nacho, I think, has done it twice. I'm not sure how Nacho has done this, or has he taken an extra special ring, probably? Because we've now got Nacho still in Act 2, but doing special stage 6. Not sure how worth it that's going to be, because obviously not making the progress into Hydro 1 that the other players are, but they are all in the same special stage, so it is a little bit of a time loss. But
Maybe he has more confidence that he can get smooth movement in Hydro 1 as compared to, like, well, it isn't really out of your way, the big ring. So that is an interesting choice on his behalf. We will see where that leaves him in a couple of stages.
yeah, it does require a little bit of doubling back, but the thing with air is that you can skip the return journey from it by resetting to checkpoint in the pause menu. So yeah, it's a bit of an odd decision, but we'll see if it pays off anyway.
Dispatching with it nicely, nothing too much to worry about. I'm gonna be quite honest. Although I have played a decent amount of Sonic 3, these levels were completely beyond me. I'd find myself getting lost very easily, and as soon as the pace picks up, the pressure sort of gets to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And like when you're in a run as well, even if you know them, and even if it's like an incredibly simple one, just the looming threat of hitting one of those red orbs and losing your run is very, very intimidating. Terravin now looking to be the first out of that special stage. So Terravin still maintaining a really good lead on the other players at the moment.
Competing very well.
Nacho, meanwhile, at the start of Hydro 1, And RPG not doing the slowdown strat there, just going all the way around the loop. So Terravin's now got like a whole special stage lead on them, right? Like Terravin is actually in a special stage on his own for the first time in a long while.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who comes in first. Well, behind him. There we go. RPG is finding himself in there, and Terravin's just been walking around the stage for quite a while already. So, yeah. Quite a considerable lead.
Huds and Nacho not too far behind. So Nacho, that strat apparently paying off because Nacho has been able to go, like, basically catch up with them in Hydro 1. That's a really interesting development there. So I guess the doubling back does cost as much time as you'd expect.
Maybe this was his wild card that he was going to pull out. Maybe he hasn't said anything to the other runners about his strategies. Maybe he's just going to say,
in strat hiding, just for GDQ. Okay, getting some jumps over these orbs.
Now time to go into the washing machine. Super Amy. Here we go.
And there's actually been a change for second place. Huds is leaving the special stage slightly faster than RPG there. Beautiful boss kill from Terravin. Really, really efficient. That's a 50-second time in Hydro 1. That is a very solid time for this stage with any character, let alone Amy.
Huds, interestingly, not opting to go to Super Amy, and he's not going to get a quick kill on this, whereas RPG has transformed into Super Amy and is taking this. Maybe Huds has just forgotten that he could be Super Amy. Interesting.
So it's possible that Huds could have been, because on that boss, there are setups from, you know, the regular beat the game categories to get 6 hits on that boss above the stage. They are difficult, but it could have been that he was going for that because the Hyper Amy, or Super Amy's form, sorry, would interfere with the physics for that. So that's a possibility there. Terravin coming up for a very nice trick here. Can he get it? Perfect. That jump and hammer swing across to that shoot there is incredibly precise. Nacho now in the tunnel, as are Huds and RPG. All of them going for the early cycle, but I don't think any of them were able to get it. Nacho gets so close to catching that early cycle. That is very difficult to do with any character that isn't Knuckles, because, you know, Knuckles is just insanely powerful, as anyone would expect.
He's the best. My guy. And if any of you voted for Hydro City, I'd just like to talk to you after the catch me outside after.
RPG and Nacho both getting this jump strat perfectly, as does Huds. All 4 of our runners nailing that. That is what you like to see.
Terravin didn't have to do any pause buffering. He knows his cycles, so the cycles are global. He's on nice rings as well. Nice. So the cycles for those funny, like, floating platforms that go up and down, those are global, aren't they? They depend on the timer for the stage.
Yeah. So the vertically moving like pillars that you stand on, they are level based. So the players would have been looking at their time from the start of Hydro 2 all the way to this point. Huds not taking the jump there, trying to take a backup here to get back up on the shoot, but the path swapper is very, very finicky to get around and to manipulate properly. This is going to cost him a lot of time, and we're going to see all of the players now pushing ahead and Huds being in last place. Very unfortunate. Managing to get it that time, though. Lovely stuff from Huds. Terravin, meanwhile, going for a very tight jump up here. He's going to give it a few tries. That is fantastic. That jump is harder than it looks. A lot of these runners are New Game Plus runners traditionally, so they would normally have Hyper Amy at this point, and she can just, like, hammer jump straight up there. There's no problem. But with Super Amy, she can't quite get there. You have to take a slope jump. So it is very, very difficult to do, and that was very good to see.
Huds has had to take the long way round in Hydro as well, so even more time lost on his side as all of the rest are in marble.
Yeah, although he's not out of it yet. You know, there's still a lot of this run to go, especially when we get into the second half. RPG getting the jump. Nacho, all 3 runners in Marble Garden getting that jump. First try, spot on. Well, sorry, Terravin not quite first try, but still very good. All 3 of them nailing it.
So as things stand at the moment, we have got Terravin ahead. It is a very good battle for second place at the moment. Nacho just behind RPG, Hidden Wizard. Then Huds is just making his way into Marble 1.
Yeah, he's got a whole stage to catch up on. It's unfortunate, but, you know, some good movement. I mean, Nacho here having a bit of problem with this slope. Sadly, losing a bit of distance on RPG there. RPG having finished the boss.
I love how trivial this boss is made that Nacho's just done, that the top three have already done. It's just a case of using that ridiculously broken hammer like jump.
Beautiful spike ball jump there from Terravin. That's a skip up into Tails' path. It's very, very effective. And making use of that hammer, I guess that's technically the hammer swing, but it's essentially her attack where she just swings the hammer forwards. That actually ignores all terrain and gravity. And it allows her to essentially go up those slopes with the pulleys. Instead of grabbing it, you can just keep swinging the hammer and you run straight up. It's really handy. Looks like HUDs might have actually missed an emerald in Hydro 2 because picking up Emerald 7 now rather than in the previous stage is very unfortunate. Probably explaining why he's not taken that super form during the boss.
Yes, that would explain it.
I mean, definitely explaining it, to be honest. RPG being very careful there with that section. If you don't jump off of that pillar, you will go in the spikes, guaranteed in super form. And that is technically a glitch, and nobody wants to do that in this run, so...
Nacho being very careful, he's wanting to get to Super Amy. He was very close. He was on the fringes of 50 rings there and wanted to make sure that he could get into that super form because, I mean, increased movement speed is certainly something that you'd want in a speedrun.
Definitely. Terravin doing an interesting strat there, slowing down a bit on the way into that boss because the game can crash, as it turns out. I found out about that today. If you enter that boss room too quickly, the game just stops working. So Terravin making sure that doesn't happen, although we were warned by all of the runners, including Terravin, that Terravin is the most likely person to crash the game here. So...
What a brilliant title to go into a four-way race on on the Games Done Quick channel.
Literally anything is possible.
So he's now in Carnival Night. I'm not quite sure what music they get, but whatever music is involved with Carnival Night, it's usually good. So
I think they're using the enhanced music pack at the moment, which I believe uses Proto for Act 2. I'm not sure about Act 1 though. Shoutouts to Proto though, best soundtrack.
Oh, brilliant.
For this stage anyway. Ice Cap I think is better for the original.
So RPG's managed to get a little bit of time over Nacho. I don't know what quite happened to Nacho. We might have been looking at Terravin for a little bit too much, but Terravin's now on the boss, so he's doing really well at the moment.
So Amy has a glider, by the way. We didn't mention this before. Basically, the way the modded characters work in this game is they replace existing characters. So Amy is actually a mod for Tails, which means they needed to give her a way to fly to make Tails' like sections like this boss work properly. So that's why she has a glider, by the way.
You know, you always got to have a glider handy.
Just getting some important news, by the way. The survey results are in. Hydro City has won. Thank you, everybody in the audience, for your contributions to that vote. Very important.
Very incorrect.
I'm glad that the general population are not lost in this very, very important topic. Thank you.
Oh, RPG having finished up the boss there, whereas Terravin really taking the lead over everyone else at the moment. Onto the first Knuckles section of Act 2, and we're going to see if Terravin... Oh, yeah, there he is, the boy. We love him. We'll see him a lot more. There's a lot more of Knuckles to come. Terravin's going to try and get through this section bubbleless, by the way. It's not quite as terrifying as it is in Sonic 1 glitchless, for example, but it is still quite a challenging strat. You need to be very efficient with your movement to get as much distance as you can before the water comes down and not get caught out. Oh, this might be a problem for it. Yeah, getting caught on that bumper there can be an issue. We will see, though. Terravin seems confident. He's pushing on. He's not stressing, and there we go. No problems at all. Oh, there's more Knuckles, an RPG screen. Oh, beautiful.
Let's go.
Just a glimpse.
That's all we need.
HUD sadly right at the back at the moment, getting past this boss very easily. Just one hit left to go because you can only get 8 hits in that phase of the boss. You need to get the, you can only get 7 hits. The 8th hit has to come in the main phase of the boss. So HUD is going to be moving on to Carnival Night with all the others. RPG going for his own bubbles, getting caught on that bumper again though. Are we going to see him get through? Oh, this is a bit... Nah, he's going to play it safe. Spin dash straight up. Get out of that water.
I would not want to know the condition of the water in a weird sort of circus type area. I imagine it's not very well sanitized.
Yeah, no. I mean, unless it's meant to be like a swimming pool and then it might be chlorinated, you know? That wouldn't be too bad. Terravin clearing the boss with Superform there. It's very important to get to that boss with Superform because that boss, similar to how it is for normal Tails as well, as opposed to the Amy mod, is just horrible. Knuckles doesn't do it because he's intelligent and just doesn't deal with extra bosses if he doesn't have to. And Sonic has Insta-Shield, but both these characters, like Tails and Amy, both struggle with that boss a fair bit without Superform, so good to see Terravin getting through that cleanly.
Picking up the big ring. I'm sure it's pretty obvious by now, but every big ring that you collect after you've collected all the emeralds, you instantly get 50 rings and you can go straight into Super, so this is going to help him speed through Ice Cap very nicely.
Yeah, absolutely. Terravin just absolutely tearing away with this race at the moment. RPG not too far behind, about to enter Act 1 himself. Nacho about halfway through Act 2, I want to say, and Hud's sadly just finishing up Act 1. Going to have a long way to go to catch up with these other races.
Nacho seems to be struggling a little bit with these funny, what do we even call these? Like, loop
things.
Spinners, things?
Thingies.
As you can tell, we know a lot about this game.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, those things are kind of, if you get enough speed through there, you can handle them in a very uniform way, but it does mean that when you approach it slightly less consistently, it can, you know, catch you off guard like that. You're not necessarily sure the best way to get out of that scenario because it's not a mistake that would usually occur. Nacho's got a decent amount of rings for the boss as well. I think Nacho's not going to have any problems with the boss here. Terravin already finishing up Act 1 of Ice Cap, doing really, really well at the moment. And RPG is really keeping Terravin honest at the moment, though. Like, halfway through the stage himself, like, keeping this race as close as it can be right now.
Now Huds is in that underwater section that we were mentioning, and he's doing nicely through there.
Yeah, really smooth there from Huds. And if he can get through this section with the spinners that Nacho got stuck on, then, like, a bit cleanly, that's a little bit of time made up, you know? It's going to be those small gains at this stage of the game. There's a lot of run to go. Coming up.
There we go.
Yeah, good stuff. Perfect from Huds. So yeah, we're sort of nearing the halfway point in terms of levels, but I don't necessarily think it's halfway point in terms of the run because there's some big time sinks later in the game. In particular, the Lava Reef 2 boss does take an awful lot of time for what it is. Hud's now plenty of rings for the boss. I think they're going to be just fine there. Also, important to note in Ice Cap 2, which Terravin has already cleared now that I've looked back at the screen. Terravin is just absolutely surging through the game. But you'll see the runners heading forwards and then backtracking a bit after jumping up to that bridge. Amy can take the route that gets directly to that point, but doing it the other way gets more rings and saves more time overall because you become super much quicker. So that's why you're going to see them taking that odd route through Act 2, but it does make sense from a time save perspective.
Now, one thing that is completely different to how you'd see it in a glitchless run, launch base. Launch base, it's nice to, it's a bit of a palette cleanser after seeing this game glitch. Usually there's something that you do right at the start with the elevator to initiate a slope glitch. It's all quite technical, but we get to see it all in its sort of big maze-like form.
Yeah, Launch Base 1 for glitched runners is probably the stage everyone hates the most.
The bane,
it can make or break your run in a heartbeat. But playing it as Amy and in glitchless in particular, it's a very entertaining stage. Not only do you get the benefit of doing the stage because it's glitchless, but you get Tails' intro section as well, which is another little quirk of Amy is she has all the Tails paths for the game because she is essentially Tails according to the game files. So you get a little bit of an interesting route through Launch Base 1 rather than the standard one that Sonic and Knuckles have. Terravin is absolutely blazing away at the moment, already near the end of Act 1. Going into the Knuckles cutscene, there he is again.
Legend.
Big fan.
Thank you, King.
You're going to see all these players go through this mid-route here in Launch Base as well.
And in these stages, particularly Ice Cap and Launch Base, you'll see just how useful that sort of hammer smash that gets Amy up so high is so incredibly useful with the bosses as well. We've seen that frequently pop up. It's just, yeah, it is a brilliant tool to use.
Yeah, it's incredibly powerful. Nacho, not on the regular path with Amy there. I think may have fallen down to the bottom path and had to come up from Nux's path instead of taking the usual top route. Which is going to give Huds a bit more of a chance to catch up. You know, he's only just at the start of Act 2, but, you know, he's had a very clean run outside of the Missed Emerald. And, you know, every clean stage that he has to Nacho's slightly less clean stage, it's going to give him a bit more of a catch-up. Also, talking about the hammer jump just then, this boss in Launch Base 1, they actually delay hits until this point, because if they start hitting it too quickly, it goes, like, every time you hit it, it goes higher, and it actually goes into the ceiling and wastes a bunch of time if you hit it too quickly. So they actually have to delay hits there to kill the boss efficiently.
Getting slow to go fast, I'm sure we all have our examples here and there in our different speed games that we can relate that to.
Absolutely. Now, Launch Base 2 is going to be a very exciting stage when we get to the boss, because as part of the rules requirements for Sonic 3 Air, we do require that the Big Arms option is turned on, so that even playing the full S3K experience, you have the Big Arms boss fight. There is a strat where Amy can one-cycle Big Arms, and if anyone gets it, I've been told it is incredibly difficult, so hopefully we are going to see some insane boss strats coming out from these players. The first half of the boss, though, not quite as exciting as Terravin is showing off right there.
Easy as you like. And we see Knuckles, poor guy. He can swim though, it's alright.
Yeah, he definitely can, I'm sure. We definitely don't need to go back and check, right? He'll be okay, yeah?
Yeah. We see him later on.
reassurance.
We see him later on. It's alright, we can relax. But first stage of Big Arms, we're not quite seeing, the aforementioned, the actual Big Arms yet, but the music comes in. Really hope that the music is actually similar to the Big Arms music, because it slaps. It is a good track.
Yeah,
I trust that it's good.
So let's see if Terravin can get these hits. We're going to have 2 sweeps first, and then hopefully Terravin will be able to get a number of hits on the boss while above the stage. That's going to be the main area for optimization in this boss fight. It is somewhat RNG. You do need Big Arms to stay... wait, hold on. I'm mesmerized. That is incredible. Perfect textbook from Terravin. So just for the benefit of everyone watching as well, that hammer jump from Amy, you have to be stood completely stationary in order to pull it off. You can't just press it whenever you want. You have to be completely at a standstill. So the amount of control that Terravin had to have to get that boss killed was really, really impressive. And RPG's coming up for the boss fight on himself. Let's see if RPG can do the same.
One thing that we did just see earlier is Nacho go into a bonus stage before going into the boss for Launch Base 1, which is an interesting approach. I'm sure there is a reason behind the madness.
Oh, RPG sadly just missing one of those hits, or 1 or 2 it might have been, depending on how quickly he got back to that boss's hitbox. Very close though. It's going to be one more hit, I think, for RPG. Very, very good attempt. So close to getting that one cycle. Nacho is doing something, doing peacock right there, it looks like.
I think that's what he wanted to show off. Maybe that was he's going for style points.
Yeah, Huds meanwhile is really gaining on Nacho right now. Both of them hitting this special ring for rings at the same time.
Terravin is in
as
the
well.
first special stage of the Sonic and Knuckles side. I personally believe it's the superior side. I'm not sure about you, A-List. Which
I think so.
One do you prefer?
I mean, I think if you take both standalone games, you know, one of them has Knuckles and the other is the wrong decision. So
yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead and say that the SNK half is the better one. Yeah, you know, there's 100% more playable Knuckles. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, definitely. So that's one thing that Terravin does get in this half of the game. He can choose which special stage he goes to, which emerald he decides to pick up. I believe they're all going in a similar manner because, I don't know, maybe they'll be going for different ones in different orders, but...
Yeah, I would half expect to see Nacho take it in a different order because Nacho does go for these task strats. He may have a different preference in terms of what he wants to get done first and get out of the way, so to speak.
Oh, that was tight from Terravin. He was on 0 rings in that little section there and got bonked by that enemy that throws the funny mushrooms, the bouncy mushrooms, but he's in the special stage. There isn't too much to worry about. He's safe as long as he doesn't touch a red sphere.
I've seen a question in chat as well. Yes, there is a hyper Amy, and if you thought her hammer jump was stupid right now, it's gonna get stupider. It is
ready.
even more
You ain't
powerful.
ready.
Oh, so RPG now clearing up that first bonus stage. Cherubin, I think, in the second one now. This is probably like the most relaxing one. You just follow this line all the way through. Huds, meanwhile, and Nacho both in this boss area. Very close between the two of them for third place right now.
Huds has actually taken, he is now in third place. It's very, very close between the two of them, but Huds is now actually ahead of Nacho.
Oh, Huds with bad RNG there wouldn't have been able to get a one cycle on the boss, sadly, even if he'd been in a slightly better position there. So that is unfortunate. Nacho says, I don't care about the strats, I'm just jumping. Like, hammer jump, I don't need that.
He's here for a good time.
Yeah, he just wants to jump. Nacho getting a very efficient boss kill. These two practically synced coming out of Big Arms. That is incredible sync from these two players. I think it's important to point out as well the kind of backgrounds of these players, because Terravin, RPG, and Huds all run Amy New Game Plus usually. So they're very familiar with the hyper Amy like section of this game. Nacho runs best ending in every character in the normal game, but not Amy. So Nacho is someone who knows the Emerald strats but doesn't know the Amy strats, and everyone else is vice versa. So it's very interesting to see the playstyle differences between the two.
Yeah, it's good that we've got runners that are all sort of on different pages, but their PBs are they're all within like 4 minutes of each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, Mushroom Hill 1 is such a hard stage to keep track of because they get all 7 emeralds between MH1 and MH2. It's so difficult to keep track of where people are. Especially if they take the emeralds in different orders, you just can't really tell what's going on.
Yeah.
So RPG coming up for their 3rd emerald now. I think this is the 4th one for Terravin that they've just gotten, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I want to say 4th.
it would make sense. Yeah. Or maybe if
No, that is the 3rd. So is RPG ahead?
Intriguing.
I genuinely don't know. Maybe Terravin did one over to the right first? I'm very confused, I'm not gonna lie.
who knows? We will get to this. we'll get back to this one later.
Yeah, so RPG I think was no, RPG just went into the 3rd one, right?
Let's
So
see where
Terravin is one
Terravin is
ahead.
with this one.
Because Terravin's going into number 4 right now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, we got that. Huds has got number 1, so's Nacho. These two are still very synced. And Nacho is actually taking a different emerald to start with there. So, as predicted, having a different preference based on his emerald strats.
I'm enjoying the different colour of the special stages that we're getting at the moment. Which style suits you better, the yellow and the blue, or the pink and the sort of cyan
Oh,
colour?
that's very difficult. I am a big turquoise fan. I think I'm going to have to go with pink and cyan, yeah.
I'm quite partial to the blue and yellow. I think it's sort of Sonic and Tails, that sort of almost opposite colours. They
Yeah,
sort of
complementary,
complement each other
isn't it?
quite well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
complementary colours. I just like the vaporwave aesthetic in this special stage, to be honest. I think
Oh,
it's
that's a
pretty
good
great.
point. The purple
now
and green as
Nacho.
well for Nacho.
Nacho is in the superior one right here. Purple and
I do.
turquoise, let's go. I like
I
this
dig
one.
it. I dig it. That orange and blue that Huds is in, bit tacky. I know.
Yeah, that one, not so keen. Although, this was my favorite special stage when I was a kid because it was the easiest one for me to complete. This is the only one I ever got an emerald on.
Fair enough. Each to their own. And Terravin is coming up to the boss for Mushroom Hill 1.
Yeah,
Well,
Terravin is now
yes.
at a location where we can tell if he's ahead or not.
He is on 0 rings, so he can't be too... Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, he did take so that is an intentional strat there to take a damage boost beforehand to get some extra hits before. It does mean you have to wait on that fire more often than not though, because obviously you've taken an extra hit where you wouldn't normally. So Terravin moving on into Act 2. Oh, RPG! I think RPG just caught
Was
a
that...
red.
Yeah, he didn't get
caught a
an
red
emerald.
sphere.
Amy did not
RPG is
get
going to be a
a super
special stage
emerald.
behind. Now, there are worse places to be in this scenario. There are a lot of special rings in Act 2 that you can go for.
Nice
You
rings.
can pick up extras if you know where they are. But as we've already stated, RPG is normally a New Game Plus runner. It's going to be interesting to see if he knows where these backups are. I'm sure he would have prepared them, but let's have a look and see what he does. It does give Huds and Nacho an opportunity to catch up, though, because so far neither of these players have dropped an emerald in this half of the game.
Interesting. By the looks of things, although Nacho is a stage behind, because of what we saw. Actually, I don't know. I think maybe the colours of the stages are just getting to me.
Yeah, I think
feel
they're all
like
doing them in
we've-
different orders just to confuse us. I think that's what's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah, it is really. At the moment, from what we can sort of ascertain from this, is that Terravin is ahead.
Yeah,
Everyone
Terravin is
else-
currently in the lead. RPG is, I think, going to go for this. No, going for the spring. Okay. Where's the backup? There is a backup coming up. If RPG knows about it, it's not too inefficient to go out of the way to get it. So hopefully that's what he'll go for.
Yeah, so he wanted to see the text saying Amy got a super emerald, but as we saw earlier, it just said special stage, and no, you didn't get the emerald there. So that will be losing quite a bit of time. Will we see a position change? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, Huds is still, and Nacho is still both in Act 1, but, you know, all this time that RPG is spending in this special stage is that time that he should have been spending progressing in Act 2. So these two players are not going to have the same hang-up when they get to that point, and maybe we will see them closing a bit of ground. I'm sure we will. Nacho with these strats. Oh, that was very dicey. Not what he wanted to see happen there, I think, but managing to recover very nicely. It's the risk with these strats, you know, they're very difficult, they're very flashy, they're very cool, but that can happen! No, Nacho! So Nacho losing the opportunity to catch up there. Gonna have to take another backup in MH2 most likely, which, you know, I'm sure he will know more than anyone where they are. You know, he's done best ending all stories in Sonic 3 Air. You know, he's the only person who's done a run where you play all 5 base runs in the game and getting all the emeralds in all of them. So
Absolute madman.
if he doesn't know where the backup emeralds are, I'd be very surprised.
If he
And
doesn't
RPG
know,
going for the
no one
backup
knows.
here. This is the one I was talking about. RPG knows exactly where to go. Perfect stuff.
Very good.
It's interesting. Nacho with that mistake, still slightly ahead of Huds, but we're going to see Huds pull away. We're going to see a change for third place soon, I think.
At the moment, it's looking like Terravin is only one away from getting the last emerald. We can finally wave goodbye to the special stages on his feed anyway, and it will just be nice glitchless gameplay from then on if he doesn't glitch. There is still a possibility that any of these runners could glitch.
Sonic rushes.
Indeed. Is this going to be a pulley skip? Doesn't look like it from here, but he's got to go for this special stage. This is the last one in Mushroom Hill. Essential Emerald. Let's see.
A lot of people's least favorites. I still struggle with this one, even though Huds has explained to me how to do this. I still find this one very confusing and disorientating.
It's quite deceiving when you get into some of the previous stages and it says like you've got about 100 blue spheres to collect, and this one's only around about 64. So you'd think, oh, it might be quite straightforward, but they're all sort of dotted around everywhere and quite hard to remember where everything is, and very easy to lose your head in these special stages.
Yeah, it's very awkward in this one. Like there are so few reference points where you can work out where you are. You just do feel very lost in this particular stage. With Terravin getting through, that's going to be hyper Amy, and now we're going to maybe see a police skip. With the hyper form, Terravin may be able to jump all the way up off of the slab. I imagine he'll give it a couple of attempts just to try and show it off, but we'll see what happens.
I just want to ask chat real quick and interject. What's everyone's favorite sound effect replacement so far?
Ooh.
Because my favorite is the big ring entry. Wait, where am I going?
That's a good one.
I quite enjoy. It's one thing that we didn't get to hear, but if you want to try out the mod yourself, there is a Sonic 3S speedrunning Discord, and I don't know whether it's been shared anywhere else, but the Sega logo, the sort of jingle at the start, has also been changed, so you hear a funny sort of Sega from Colin himself.
My personal
It's a good time.
favorite is what awaits you if you accidentally enter a bonus stage through one of the checkpoints. I don't want to spoil it, but if anyone does use it, try going into one and see what happens. I highly recommend it.
Nacho, although it only saves barely a couple of seconds, and it could have killed that special stage for him, he decided to jump across some red spheres to get to the last 2 blue spheres in that stage. Very risky, but we like to see some style. We like to see some runners willing to take risks, even in a 4-way race.
Yeah, so Nacho committed really hard to just doing all these crazy strats, so it's really great to see him pulling them off. Terravin now getting Hyper Amy in FP1, really big lead from Terravin at the moment. That intro section there is very tight on the ring count. You get 50 rings exactly where you need it, so any hit there can cost you a lot of time at the start of FP1. And this is a stage where the cycles are an issue because of these crushes, so you definitely want to be able to arrive there at a consistent time so you know what you're doing.
Very nice with those tunnels though, and is just breezing through the stage. All of the sort of platforms that squash you, it's nothing to worry about. When you're Hyper Amy, just go straight through everything.
Yeah, and that setup they do there to get onto that capsule and then hammer jump straight up. Huds was explaining it to me earlier. It's very, very well set up, and it's very, very clean when it goes right.
Hyper Amy laughs in the face of danger, as you can see, just willing to get smacked in the face.
Speaking of
absolutely
Huds,
clobbered.
Is he going to have Emerald 7 already?
I know
at this
RPG
point,
just picked up Hyper Amy.
Yeah, so RPG picked it up in the same place that Terravin did, but Huds is seemingly getting it now. He's still halfway through Act 2. That's interesting. Must have picked up an additional ring that we missed in a different stage.
On to Flying Battery 2 for Terravin.
Nacho and Huds in the same position right now, I think.
Nacho is Amber's special stage.
Oh, you know what it
Interesting to
is?
see what Huds comes out.
I think Huds took the top route, as did Nacho, so they've both got a different path here, which does get an additional special ring on the way through. So they're both taking 3 each in this section. That's interesting. That's an interesting backup. I think that's cool. So while Nacho is getting his final Super Emerald in this one near the end of Act 2, Huds is now like halfway through Act 2 with access to Hyper Amy. So Huds is hopefully going to make up some ground now. Terravin is really, really extending his lead right
you
now.
are seeing some incredible gameplay from Terravin at the moment. Absolutely just storming through this stage.
Whole run going incredibly cleanly at the moment. And also, just like to point out, if Terravin does PB, that is a new world record. So we'll have to pay close attention to the timer as we get nearer the end of this race. Because I don't think Terravin's had any major mistakes so far. I'm pretty sure Terravin's had a very clean run.
Yeah, it's been, well, as far as I can tell, I haven't run this category and I haven't even touched air as a... Despite the fact that I verify for the game, I just haven't touched it at all. But seeing all of these runners practice and really put in the graft for it has been a lot of fun, and it's interesting how much of a difference. I know we keep on banging on about it, but the extra characters really do add some replayability to this game, especially as a speedrun, because as you've heard, they all have their different experiences with different characters. Terravin's done a bit of Knuckles, God bless him, and yeah, they've all like to sort of throw their hands into the mix with different characters.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, Huds has actually reclaimed 3rd place. Nacho obviously having to take that extra special ring, so Huds has now capitalized on that and has moved into Flying Battery 1 much before Nacho. Now less than an act between him and RPG, and about an act between Terravin and RPG. Terravin coming up to the auto-scroller boss, not a particularly exciting one. You just got to wait on this platform, and then you just kind of stand here with this boss waiting for him to pop back up again.
There's certainly a theme with that in S3K bosses. There's just sometimes the creativity is just lacking a little bit. We're going to be moving on to Sandopolis very soon, and yeah, you will see that boss is certainly a thing. But
speaking of uncreative bosses, yeah, Sando 1. I mean, to be fair, it's creative. It's really interesting if you've not done it before, but as soon as you know the gimmick, it's just not a thing. All Nacho just messing up his inputs there, doing the hammer swing instead of the hammer jump, and throwing himself off the side there, costing himself a little bit of time. Huds, meanwhile, are on another boss that just kind of deals with itself. affectionately known as Mr. Tickles. He's just kind of hitting himself on the head. Really engaging gameplay.
Tervin picking up the big ring, and he's going to try and just absolutely whiz through the Sando. You heard Huds mention the Sando 8. This is his child. Just if anybody says anything bad about the first Sando stage, then you are on a list that he is collecting of people. And yeah, so he's going to, from the amount of times that he played it, recently he played it about 500 times.
He did the Sando 500, yeah.
Yeah, so if anybody is going to save time, the first Sando, it's probably going to be him, but you never know. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, like, Hud said it, I think, as a Twitch subscriber goal, so if you want to see him do 1,000, I'm sure he would. We need to find some way to persuade him to make that a goal, I guess.
Putting him into it.
Shout out to Spider Steve, by the way. Thank you for your service, Spider Steve. Very important character in the Sonic lore.
And here we go. Here is the boss that we have been gawking about. You can see just how brilliant it is. What they are going to do to try and make it a little bit faster, as they have the invulnerability with Hyper Amy, they're going to try and knock this sort of rock monster, call him Dwayne the Rock. And Tervin does that really, really nicely. So they're trying to knock him into that little sand. What is it? Quicksand, so that they can deal that boss. But when it comes to sort of the linear play, and if you don't have a hyper character or super character, it's not very easy. It's just very slow.
Yeah, for sure. And getting that 2-hit boss kill is actually sub-pixel dependent, apparently, so very fortunate to see Tervin get that. Tervin now in Sando 2, and this is a stage that really demonstrates the sheer power of Amy's mobility. You're going to see her do a lot of stuff that is, you know, very, very flashy compared to what the other characters get to deal with. So to start with, using the hammer swing, you can get that special ring and go straight back up. And then also later on, there's like the sample section. You're going to be able to see Amy just ignore all of that with the hammer jump. She can get all the way through. Knuckles can as well, and so can Tails, but they do it, you know, much slower than Amy, who just kind of launches herself straight upwards.
Tervin now in the very nice purple atmosphere. I reckon in terms of color palettes, this is one of the prettier in S3K. I mean, the whole game is beautiful, but I know that Amber is one that can agree with me on this, is that Sando 2 is not a bad stage.
Oh no, I agree completely as well. Sando 2 is a really, really good stage when you're not playing it glitched. Glitched, it's very frustrating. Oh, Tervin just missing that cycle, but realizing it in time and not getting himself crushed. That is sadly something that can happen there. That is the more difficult cycle to go for on this level from my understanding. So, you know, sad that Tervin didn't quite make it, but good that he didn't die. RPG, meanwhile, coming up to the end of Sando 1. RPG is just soldiering on at the moment, really trying to catch up with Tervin, but Tervin is just having such a good run at the moment. His pace is incredible. And into this boss, there's not an awful lot to say about this boss. You just kind of...
Especially with Hyper Amy. Trivial. Another trivial boss.
Yeah, Hyperform, huh? Kids will never get all the emeralds, they said. This will never be a problem.
And especially with that stage in general, because the whole mechanic of that is hitting switches so that the lights come back on, because if they don't, the ghosts will come and knock you because you're, I don't know, infiltrating this sand temple, I suppose. So when you're hyper, you just don't really have to worry about it at all. You just have to worry about those little levers that you push to open particular doors.
Yeah, a lot of the cycle-based nature of the level can kind of be bypassed. It's just that one in the middle, really, that's a problem for Hyper Amy and Sando 2. Tervin getting a very nice setup there. The ring count on the start of that is very, very tricky. Although there are backups, ideally they want to be collecting as many rings with the lightning shield as possible. Otherwise, they have to go out of their way to get some extra ring boxes, which slows them down a fair bit.
Somebody has already mentioned the cursed comp warp, the comp mode warp, which is it is a possibility. There are certain locations in the stage where if you do a spin dash, it will send you to the competition mode of this game. We don't quite know why it happens. It's something to do with the memory of the game, and it will just send you there. But it's been known to happen. It could happen, but we're sort of hoping that it doesn't. I'd love to see it because it's fun, but it's a race.
It's very unlikely because usually the thing that causes it to occur is when you've entered Knuckles' path from Sonic's path and entering that glitch state. It can happen without that, and we've seen it happen without that, but it's much less likely, so hopefully none of our runners will run into that. Terravin, actually, you saw him stop and wait for a second there, because that's where the game can crash in Lava Reef 1. So if you go through a certain rock pillar at the same time that the lava is at the apex of its cycle, then it will cause the game to crash, and you don't want that to happen. So slowing down a bit there just to prevent that from happening. But Terravin's just so far ahead right now, over an act lead on RPG, who is actually being gained on a little bit by Huds. Huds is at the start of Act 2 now, making some progress up on RPG as we speak.
Huds did get a very nice Sando 1, as we would expect. It was just under a minute, which is a very nice one to come away with. Keep an eye on Terravin. Now, one thing that is present in Sonic 3R, unless it's been patched out, I'm probably behind on the news, but it's something that you can do it in glitch, in the glitch category, which is using a checkpoint to go back and just do the Act 1 boss, but it sort of acts as the Act 2 boss, so it just sends you straight to the next stage.
Yeah, so there's a number of glitches that do something like that, but the one I think in Lava Reef that's most common is Lava Reef 1.5, we call it, where you enter that glitch state through Knuckles' path, and then that, for whatever reason, means that the screen doesn't lock after beating the boss. You can go backwards to the checkpoint and reset the boss, and then you can clear Act 2 that way. There's also a glitch called Frame Perfect Reset that allows you to repeat any stage as Act 1, but that takes you right the way back to the start of the stage, so it's slower in that particular instance. So this is one of the biggest benefits in this stage of Good Ending is that super ring. Normally in a glitchless run, you would be trying to dodge that ring and not go into it because it's slow. But if you're hyper and you've already got all the emeralds, you want to hit it to get rings. So it's just so much smoother and nicer to go through this stage in Good Ending.
Just saw a bit of Knuckles.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Sending Amy to the best content.
Oh, here we go. Thrilling, enthralling gameplay right here.
Brilliant gameplay.
It's a good thing we've got runners all in different stages of the game. Huds is dealing with the Sando 2 boss very nicely.
Yeah, Huds is making up more and more distance. RPG only really, about half an act ahead of him. You know, Huds is really doing a lot of work to try and gain some ground on RPG at the moment. Terravin, meanwhile, having a great time in the auto-scroller. Got to be very careful not to soft lock the game here. It's actually possible to create a soft lock. If you drop down from here too quickly, then the game will, for whatever reason, just not spawn the boss. And that is very, very bad.
And here we go. This is the yet another boss, which is the sort of why you're hitting yourself. Like we saw with Mr. Tickles, we've just got to let it play out. And I believe with Hyper, you can actually reduce the amount of hits that the boss has to take.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
And I think it's actually in the mobile version. So Sonic 3R has recently had the version on mobile. And for whatever reason, I'm sure if they were here, they'd fill me in. They'd probably be saying, why don't you know hit? But I believe that for whatever reason, instead of along the lines of 8 hits, it only takes about 5 or 6. I think it's an odd number as well for this boss for whatever reason. But, you know, Sonic games be Sonic games.
Oh, Terravin with the hat as well. The runners have been wondering what they were going to do with their time during this boss fight, and Terravin has a Sylveon hat. Big fan.
Ooh.
Very good evolution. Good taste from Terravin.
Very distinguished. Ooh,
okay.
RPG choosing a spin.
Huds is taking this very slow. When he was practicing earlier, he crashed his game there. So Huds taking that very slow to make sure the lava cycle was not in the incorrect position.
Well, as we know from SAT, you got to live and learn. You got to hang on the edge of tomorrow.
You do. You do have to do that. It's very true.
Hello.
Terravin out of the auto-scroller. Yay! He did it.
No,
and in
powers.
style, too.
There are no 8-second hidden palaces here. Shoutouts to Animas for the recent documentary on that. Very insightful.
Oh, yeah. Very important stage, you know. But sadly, only for the best character. Second best character has to do this, you know. Oh no! What is she doing?
Terravin, stop! What? I can't believe this. Can we censor what's going on? Can we censor this? We don't want to see this.
This is cruel. Coming into his home and just...
I can't believe you've done this.
RPG heading into the auto-scroller.
Always a fun time. We've got a cutscene going on in one, we've got an auto-scroller going on in the other. Let's see how Huds and Nacho are doing. Not too far away from each other. Nacho is still in Lava Reef 1.
So Hud's finishing Act 1 without a fire shield. So this is a very tight ring route now without the fire shield. Gonna have 50 exactly after that red spring. So that is fantastic. That route is like what they call the IL route. So that is what you're going for if you're going for the absolute fastest possible time, and Huds nails it.
Terravin tried a slinky on those stairs. Didn't quite
slinky
work for him. No.
Beat
Run
up
is
Knuckles and no
invalid.
slinky. Where's the
Disappointing.
justification?
But we're going to say thank you to Knuckles because he has got us up to Sky Sanctuary. Now we've kept on talking about how useful Amy's hammer jump is. This is going to be utilized very nicely in Sky Sanctuary as it is very vertically based.
Turns out, yeah, making a vertical stage with no real barriers is just what Amy needed. Getting the lightning shield, going down for some more rings. The ring route in here is also incredibly tight. Should be getting 50 rings exactly when they want to do the first hyper jump. Just here on this platform and straight up there. Beautiful stuff. So Amy can skip both of the mini bosses in this stage, just with the hammer jump and going up above where they're supposed to go. And I mean, just look at this. This is ridiculous. Someone put a lot of effort into designing this stage and you're just ignoring it.
RPG putting through with the aviators. You know, he's got
we've got sunglasses, we've got shades. Oh,
show it off.
Look at that look. That smile, that darn smile. He's just chilling. I'm curious to see what the other's gonna do.
Yeah, Huds is not too far behind.
Oh, we're gonna have two players in the auto scroller at the same time.
Otherwise known as bitrate hell.
Meanwhile, Nacho halfway through Act 2, trying to catch up with them. Getting pretty
Terravin and
close,
Death
entering the
Egg.
pre-boss section here. Not too far behind.
Terravin and
RPG
Death
keeping
Egg.
the shades on. That is a power play, finishing this run out with Obscure Division.
Ooh. Yeah, that's a bold
Hud's has
move.
got his own aviators.
He's copying his flow.
RPG took him off. Oh no.
Nacho's got to the point though. Let's see what Nacho's going to do.
I bet you Nacho just won't do anything, just to throw us all off.
Or maybe it'll have something to do with blue spheres. Maybe he'll find a way. Maybe he'll find a way.
See what happens.
Terravin is entering the Graviton room.
Yeah, so Amy takes Tails' path in this stage as well, which for some characters would be incredibly difficult, but because of the air layout, they actually made it so that Tails' path is usable by the other characters as well. They put an additional spring in there so that they can make it through. It's a really nice bit of time save for air, because the path is so much faster than Sonic.
Oh, Nacho's just lost all of his rings in the boss, which is interesting. So he's going to actually have to take a much more cautious approach. He can't afford to just stand and do nothing. Maybe that's tactical. Maybe he wants to stay on the ball.
Yeah, he's intimidating the other players. Like, I don't need Hyper Amy. I'm going to actually play this bit of the game. What did you do during Lava Reef 2? Put on sunglasses.
Terravin, he's just dealt with Red Eye very, very nicely.
It's very hard to commentate because I feel like every time I look down at Terravin's screen, he has just cleared another act. He is absolutely surging through this run at the moment.
Smashing it.
Really good pace.
Knuckles again, just don't look at the top left screen. Just don't
I'm not.
actually.
I'm pretending it's not there. Terravin doing really well on the other side of the screen where I don't have to watch Echidna violence.
We can mention that Hudson had a run die to the fact that he could not defeat Knuckles, so...
I mean, it's understandable. Knuckles is very powerful, you know.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if anyone could defeat Knuckles, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know. Too powerful.
Terrabin using that very useful hammer jump that can get him straight up. All of these springs that keep on appearing, he doesn't need them. Amy is above that.
Also, check out this strat any minute now. We're going to see Amy doing another tail strat that's kind of unintended. It is glitchless, but you get to see Terrabin use the hammer vault to go right the way up here and just go straight across. And Tails can do this as well. But yeah, it's quite the strat. You do a whole section that you're supposed to be upside down for the right way around, and it gets all sorted out when you enter that grab tunnel, but it's always very entertaining to try and play through that section when you're the wrong way around. Terrabin's on such a good pace right now. I cannot stress enough how clean of a run this has been. So we're going to see Terrabin cancelling super form here. Uwu Ball, which is the affectionate name for this boss because he makes an uwu sound as he floats around, is not really a very threatening boss, but the next boss is. So Terrabin is going to want to maintain rings for that and have as much super form uptime as possible.
Yeah, you can very easily establish what the strategy is here. It's just a simple spin dash across from each side. You can, if you don't jump at the end, you will land in the sort of gravity shifter devices and you will end up going down, which isn't what you want to do. You want to stay up in that position. He's done it very nicely and he's moving on to the final boss.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be all eyes on Terrabin now because at this point of the run, Terrabin is looking very, very close to a PB and by extension, a new world record.
So with these fingers, it is almost impossible. It's very, very hard to leave three cycling, isn't it?
Yes.
To three cycle these fingers. So let's see how he deals with them.
I don't think Terrabin's got it, sadly. No, it's going to be a 4. So you want to only have 3 fingers remaining in the last phase if you're going to get the 3 cycle, but a very efficient 4 cycle nonetheless. Very good for Terrabin. The time to beat is 1:03.15 for Terrabin.
Oh,
beautiful 1 cycle on the boss. I think he might be able to do it, you know. This is going to be incredible. If true.
2, 3, 4. Fuck, was that?
That's a lot of hits. That's a lot of hits. I think this is going to be it. All he has to do is stay away from that left-hand side of the screen, and this is going to be a new world record.
Oh my goodness. That is going to be time when it gets the white screen.
Time to Terrabin, 1 hour, 2 minutes, 41 seconds as the screen went blind. Sorry, white on my screen, but let's just wait for the stream to catch up just to triple confirm.
Bearing in mind that his previous PB was a 1 hour, 3 minutes and 15 seconds. So if that is a PB / world record, then
I see a 102.59 on fade out.
102.59. That is incredible. Absolutely incredible stuff from Terrabin. Let's have a big GG from everyone in the chat for Terrabin. New PB, new world record. Absolutely incredible performance in front of everyone here in a race setting. That is no easy feat. That is fantastic work.
I'm like absolutely astounded at that 2 different versions of Sonic 3, like the vanilla game with Tails All Emerald, and then Sonic 3 Air with Amy can get a world record on each day of the event.
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah, Terrabin.
I expect nothing less from
defense.
Sonic 3, honestly. It's a fantastic game in every form. Absolutely phenomenal experience, phenomenal performance by Terrabin, and we still have 3 runners going. There is still some pride to play for these other players as they're trying to outdo each other in this last moment of the race. Hud's at the start of Act 2, RPG now on Uwu Ball himself, and Nacho looking to be near the start of Act 1. So Nacho still lagging behind. We are kind of following Seed right now, but anything can still happen. You know, the final boss, there is a bottomless pit you have to worry about. It can catch a lot of people off guard. Terrabin, meanwhile, going into comp mode, just having a great time.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Bearing in mind that RPG might not be too far away from his PB as well, so I think the runners generally, they want to get below 1 minute 10. I can't remember what they've put as the estimate. So if it is 1 minute 10, then that makes a lot of sense. But
do you mean
the
1
time,
hour 10? Sorry.
1 hour 10, that's what.
1 minute 10.
They're very over if that's the case. So I don't think RPG can PB from here. I think sadly, I think RPG is going to be just out of the PB. I think the PB potential may be over for the runners now. But we're still going to see some really impressive closures to these runs. Was that a 3 cycle from RPG, or was that a 4?
Might have been a 4. I probably should have been looking.
I think with that setup, it was a 4 probably.
Let's see how RPG deals with this boss. Same as Terravin, taking those nice hits. Had to take a little bit of a pause. You don't want to find yourself going down that pit, because as much as Hyper Amy can survive everything else, she cannot survive bottomless pits.
No, or drowning. Well, actually, no, they don't, the hyper forms don't drown, do they? I think it's just the super forms that do.
I can't remember. I probably
But
should.
they can get crushed, and that's also a thing. But not right now. There is no crushing right now.
RPG coming up. There we go. He has defeated Eggman. His time is coming up in 3, 2, 1. Second place for RPG. It's still all to play for between Nacho and Huds. Huds is ahead at the moment. Not too long until he gets into the final boss. In fact, he is just about to go in. Nacho, I mean, if Huds has had a reputation on events for having a moment in the final boss. So I don't want to. I mean, I've said it now. So
Yeah,
who knows, it might happen.
this boss is. The runners make it look very easy, but it's so easy to get caught on the boss in a weird way and get pushed down in that pit to the left at any moment. It can be incredibly unforgiving. So, you know, the run's not over till you're out of at least the next phase of the boss fight. Normally, you're pretty safe when you're at the Robotnik chase scene, but this bit right here with this robot, this one can be very frightening.
These look like good fingers from Huds.
So Hud's taking a 2-cycle fight here, just playing it safe, wants to get the run closed out, not taking any risks there, very sensible. Nacho, meanwhile, coming up to Uwu Ball. It does look like it's going to be Hud's closing out 3rd place with Nacho coming in 4th. But I think everyone has done an incredible job. It's been fantastic to watch, and I hope it's been fantastic for all of you as well in the audience. I hope you've all been enjoying.
The real winner here is Amy. Got to show some love for a character that doesn't really get a chance to show off enough. Huds is coming up on time now. Nice 3rd place. Very nicely done from Huds, but we got to cast our energy onto Nacho. Not too far behind. He's on nice rings. You love
He is
to see
on
it.
nice rings.
You love to see it. Nice.
All right, and Nacho moving forward to the final boss section as well. Let's all cheer on Nacho. Let's get the positivity going in the chat. Closing out the run.
And just before the fingers come up, it's worth having a look at RPG's screen at the moment. He is soaring through the sky as an armadillo, taking on the final boss.
What? I didn't know it worked like this.
Because why ever not?
I knew there was a Mighty mod. I didn't realize it could go to Doomsday. I've not seen this before. This is pretty cool.
Right,
Mighty living the dream right now.
I'm very tempted
Absolutely.
to commentate RPGs, but we've got to be looking at Nacho. Nacho is now coming on to the big laser section. Let's see how he does. Nice, taking those hits, playing it
Really
safe.
smooth boss. Only 1 hit left, I think. Yeah, very close to a 1 cycle. Really good stuff. And bear in mind that this performance has come from someone who described their run as a huge meme in their interesting fact when we were provided with a little commentary guide courtesy of Huds. Thank you very much for that. And yeah, described his own run as a huge meme. So, I mean, if a huge meme is this good, then I'm down. That's my kind of meme.
Don't let your memes be dreams.
Do not.
Nacho's running it as long as he
Nacho
can.
just wants
I
to
think
keep
he
this
might have-
going. He's living
we
the
go.
dream. He doesn't want to let it end. But sadly,
And
it will.
time for Nacho. Well done, Nacho. Oh, look at the sprite. Maybe that's what he was trying to do. Amy's
Oh
sprite.
yeah, so
she
Amy
is
can do
hammering
this.
through the air.
Yeah, if you keep hammering during this scene, she'll keep hammering. What's great is when the plane goes into the background and she's still the same size she is now. Hopefully we get to see that actually. That's pretty entertaining. RPG meanwhile is just beaten Doomsday with Mighty, I guess.
Because of course, what else do you do? What else do you do on a Sunday evening?
Oh, well,
Yeah,
GG's
there
for
we
the
go.
runners.
Look at
There
that
we are.
chase.
Yeah, you see, it's pretty special.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And it goes backwards. So Amber, I have to ask, are any of the runners going to be able to come in to say their shout-outs, or shall me and Hip be taking them?
I do know that Nacho doesn't have access to Discord right now, so Nacho won't be able to do shoutouts from what I'm understanding. But let me double check to see if we can have other folks on their mics. Give me one moment.
No problem. Just while waiting for that confirmation, thank you for having us. It's been great fun.
Thank you, Huds, for trusting us. And we were very tempted to just go on a tangent for the whole of this and just talk about Knuckles, but we only spent most of it talking about Knuckles. So I feel like we've done a good job. We've shown some real restraint, Alis. I'm very proud of us.
Yeah, we were very respectful. It was a respectful amount of Knuckles. Respectful to Knuckles, I mean, because, you can't have a Sonic stream without mentioning Knuckles. That would be disrespectful, true
Indeed,
disrespect.
preach it.
So we had the bare minimum to ensure that Knuckles was receiving the appropriate respect from the audience there. So shout outs to Knuckles. He was one of the bosses. Without him, this run wouldn't be possible. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, Knuckles is the real winner.
Yeah, the other three, because I know Nacho is not on Discord at the moment. But HUDs, RPG, and Terravent absolutely can unmute in Discord, and we can get them to say a few words.
Let's get them in.
Hey.
GG,
Well,
everyone.
That was ridiculous. That was really fun. I'll kick things off just to say, yeah, first of all, fantastic GGs to Terravin on the brand new world record. Holy moly, what a run that must have been to watch. I cannot wait to watch it back. But yeah, first of all, I just want to say a huge thank you, Amber, Richard, Railcoon, all the staff at GDQ for putting on this incredible show. Thank you for inviting us to race at Sonic and the Side Quest. And for all of us, this was our first GDQ event. It's been really exciting, slightly nerve-wracking, learning a new category in just a few weeks. Thank you very much to the fellow runners, Nacho to RPG to Terravin, for agreeing to join in on this race. They are amazing people, as you've now seen, amazing runners as well. So yeah, be sure to drop them all a follow. Alis and Hibby, thank you guys so much for doing the amazing commentary that you did. We were all really pleased that you agreed to do it, and we really, really appreciate you bringing the hype during the run and looking out for our friend Knuckles.
Oh, you haven't heard what the commentary was like, Huds. You don't know what we've been saying. Just you wait until the
few bits. Finally, a couple last things. Big shout outs to the Sonic 3S speedrunning community. They can continue to find new kind of fun ways to run this game. And if any of you out there want to try this for yourself, come and join us in the Sonic 3S speedrun community. Thank you to Yukariot and the Sonic 3R team who continue to develop this amazing game and just make it an incredible, incredible game to play and run. And yeah, finally, just on myself, if you want to come and watch more Sonic 3R speedrunning, where hopefully I won't screw up a special stage next time, come and drop me a follow on Twitch at HUD601. I generally do play Sando a lot, and yeah, the Sando 601 is coming soon.
It is going to happen.
That's all from me.
Well, I'd just like to say, I'd like to echo what Hud said there. Just, thank you for having me here. It's been a really good. It was just really good to take part in that. If you want to see more of that, I never ever turn these sound effects off over on twitch.tv/RPG_hidden wizard. I also, maybe next time I do this, if I ever do this again, because I did say in my brief that I wouldn't do this run ever again, but that was almost a PB and I screwed up the special stage. So I might do it again. And I would just like to give a shout out to Chef Saber for being the OG Amy runner that got me into running Amy in the first place, and to Elite for all the routing work he did in the early days of learning the routes.
All right, I guess I'm up next. Honestly, I can't say enough how grateful I am that I got to be here. Like, in just a span of 3 or 4 months, I have gone from knowing nothing about any of the speedruns in Sonic 3R to being here getting a world record at a GDQ HOTFIX. Like, that's insane. I wasn't expecting this one bit.
Woo!
I can't thank anybody enough just pushing me and supporting me. Like, everybody in that community is amazing, and you should absolutely check the run out, learn it for yourself. It's wonderful.
And Terravin, what you've just done is a very, very good testament to, I mean, just a really good show of support for that community. And yeah, I think everything coming into that was very good. So well done, all three of you. Well, and Nacho. We love you too,
Yes.
Nacho.
Speaking of Nacho, Nacho has also prepared some words. He's not currently on Discord, but he'd like us to read them out just with his own shoutouts. So Nacho would like to say, first of all, shoutouts to every single runner of Sonic 3 Air. He didn't initially expect a lot of people to be interested in this game. It all started with an idea, but the runners have made it some kind of dream, so thank you all very much. Shoutouts to Eukaryote, the developer of this amazing game. It's really cool to play and run too. Shoutouts to HUDs, RPG, and Terravin for the idea of making this big race at the event. And thanks to TSD, the man behind the strats that he uses in the special stages. So they were very impressive. I loved watching those strats. Always good to see.
Brilliant work.
Yeah, I thank you for submitting this race, the four of you, and I genuinely, like, I remember showcasing S3 Air at Sonic and the Shiny Things last year, which Flying Fox did a Knuckles and Tails glitchless run, and that's kind of how the community just started to blow up, honestly, because the game was still relatively unknown and new. Nacho was the only moderator. There were only a couple of runs on the leaderboard, and since then, like, last year's showcase got a lot of people involved. The Sonic Speedrun Community events team, which I'm also a part of, and HUDs is also a part of, and Hypnotics and Alis are also a part of. We all ended up getting involved with hosting a Sonic 3 Air tournament, and that also went over really well and got a lot of new runners involved as well. But seriously, all four of you did fantastic. Hypnotics and Alis did fantastic commentary for this. I didn't have to do anything. I was able to go eat some pizza while y'all covered this.
You go have that pizza. The runners have made this so easy for us. They played absolutely amazingly, and it's an honor. I hope that we did your runs justice, especially considering that this is now a world record VOD, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. And special shout outs to RPG for creating the Collins sound effect replacement pack. That was it tickles me every time I hear it, and I hope chat enjoyed it too. So
it's a trip.
I think it was mostly a well-received thing.
Remember, download it, go to the bonus stage. You won't be disappointed, okay? Please.
Wait, where am I going? But seriously, thank you again. Coming up next, though, because there is still more runs. There are still more runs coming up. We have another run of Sonic CD. We did one yesterday. That was All Good Futures featuring Tails by Sonic Star, and that was involving going to, destroy all of the robot generators. This time we're going to show the other best ending condition for this, All Good Futures ending condition, and that's collecting all of the time stones. Yes, there are collectibles in Sonic CD, and Tails is going to do it in the hands of Flying Fox. So give us just a few minutes, and we will be able to get that run going for you. And there's a couple more runs after that, so definitely stay tuned, and we'll be right back after this short break.